I've been playing Epiphone casinos for 10 years now. This was my first casino, an Epiphone Elitist model. It's a beautiful guitar, it made me fall in love with casinos, and so today I want to talk about some of the things over the past decade that have made me love this guitar, get more Epiphone casinos. I've done a load of videos of Epiphone casinos that have been extremely popular, and there are other people who absolutely love this guitar. We're going to talk a little bit about what makes the Epiphone Casino so special. First, we're going to dive in with some tone. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Follow the links below where you can listen to some music, and I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to tell you why I love the Epiphone Casino and why this is my favorite guitar. You can't look at the Epiphone Casino and not talk about the history of it. Now, the Epiphone Casino debuted in 1961, 4 years after Gibson acquired Epiphone. Over the years, Gibson sort of relegated Epiphone more and more as a sub-brand. Initially, they were really kept up to par when it came to production. Early Epiphone guitars in the Gibson era were really built just as well, until later on when they started to become more the budget-friendly models that many people see them as nowadays. What I love about the Epiphone Casino is it is one of the few guitars that has held up against its Gibson counterpart, which is the ES330. In fact, it is more popular than the ES330 to this day, and the reason is because of the star power associated with the Epiphone Casino. Now, immediately it screams Beatles. That tends to be what most people see. The two pioneers, really, of casino players would have been the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. It was used by all three of the guitar-playing Beatles and by Keith Richards, very notably. Now, while it is known primarily nowadays as a John Lennon guitar, Paul McCartney was actually the first one who got one and convinced the others to get them. Loads of Beatles music was performed with and recorded on Epiphone casinos, and when you pick them up, you do just want to jam Beatles. So here is some fun Beatles jamming. Now this brings me up to my second point of why I love Epiphone casinos. You'd think it's silly, but these guitars are not really notable for blues. A little bit more nowadays, which we'll talk about in a second here. And I've done a whole video on this. This guitar screams blues. It's a fully hollow dual P90 guitar. It just is classic blues as you get. But because of the Beatles and the Stones, and in music influenced by the Beatles as well, and so many of the guitar players who use them afterwards, it's easy to overlook the Casino's blues roots. But would you believe me if I told you that Paul McCartney actually bought one to get a bluesier sound from the influence of John Mayall, who had a great old hollow body and made Paul want to get a hollow body after John Mayall played him all kinds of great blues music, and Paul wanted to get that sort of sound. Also, it was used in the early days by Howlin' Wolf, and if you notice, many of the Beatles songs performed by John Lennon on a Casino had a bluesy edge to them. Famously, of course, Revolution. One of my favorites also was Get Back, that he played on the Casino on the rooftop concert, and it's great for these clean, classic bluesy tones. So here are some clean, classic bluesy tones. Just regular, some Beatles inspired, you name it, it does it. Let's check these out. Nowadays, the Casino has made a resurgence in blues due to Gary Clark Jr., who's a fantastic player and used them particularly in his early days. And while he uses other guitars now, it's not uncommon to see a picture of Gary Clark Jr. or to think of him in his tone of using an Epiphone Casino. And he played some incredible, rich, modern fuzz blues that you wouldn't necessarily expect from this model, but it sounded great. So here is some gnarly fuzz blues with an Epiphone Casino. Now, going back to the point of music that was influenced by the Beatles, this is something that is just really interesting, and I can't quite figure out the ins and outs of. Noel Gallagher. A lot of Epiphone players absolutely love Noel Gallagher and Oasis and his use of Epiphone guitars. If you look at the literature of Epiphone Casino, anywhere you look, notable players, Noel Gallagher's right there on the list. But interestingly, he's really not a notable Epiphone Casino player. He's a notable Epiphone Sheridan player, which has been pointed out to me in other videos, especially at first when I didn't know the details of all this. But then what I came to find out is he actually did use Epiphone Casinos. On the album Dig Out Your Soul, he used two Epiphone Casinos. He used a vintage one and he used a John Lennon model. But what's double interesting about that is that it's a departure from his regular sound, and he even said it really is not his style of guitar, but it suited him for that album. He really is known for using the Epiphone Sheridan, and yet it persists. If you look on Wikipedia, if you look on all sorts of things, he is prominently listed as a notable user of the Epiphone Casino. One way or another, it gets some cool 90s rock tones. Now, here's a guitar that he definitely didn't use, which is the Epiphone Casino Coupe. Let's check that out with some great 90s rock tones. Now, lastly, I mentioned this is really suitable for classic blues. It's also perfect for jazz. It's a fully hollow dual dog ear P90. This is the formula for a great jazz guitar in the early days. And if you just back off the tone knob a little bit on that neck pickup and play clean, you can get really, really beautiful jazz tones out of this guitar. Folks, thanks for tuning in. What you're listening to today, again, is this. This is my first Epiphone Casino. It's an Epiphone Elitist Casino, an Epiphone Standard Casino, and an Epiphone Casino Coupe that's loaded with Tyson tone pickups, playing into a Henry Amps ODLX. I've been using a couple of different pedals, both a Keeley Monterey for some of those great modulated tones and the fuzz tones that you heard, and also a Jam Pedals Lucydreamer for some overdriven tones, as well as one clip there using the Standard Casino into a Vox AC15 in the top boost channel with some tremolo. You can't really talk about Epiphone Casinos without talking about Vox to some extent because of the Beatles and the early Stones. It just seems like a pair that you need to visit. I'm going to play one more tone here that's just something that I find particularly inspiring on the Standard Casino. Let us know in the comments, why do you love the Casino? What do you think is interesting about them? Which models do you play? And also follow me on Spotify, where you can hear a lot of my guitars and gears on actual studio recordings. I'm Jack Fossett. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.